You.
All right. Call your next witness.
We'll call Stan John Zeleniewski.
Step forward, son. Raise your right hand. Son, swear firm testimony about to give this man's truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please proceed. You may proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Judge. Sir, could you tell the jury your name, please?
John Zeleniewski.
And, sir, how are you employed?
I work for the railroad.
And, sir, were you a volunteer at the Inkster Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Are you still a volunteer at the Inkster Police Department?
Yes.
And are you still working?
I haven't volunteered in a while, but I'm still a member of the organization.
All right. And what was your position as a volunteer with the Inkster Police Department?
Auxiliary officer.
And can you tell the jury what an auxiliary officer is and how you get to be an auxiliary officer?
Auxiliary officer is a volunteer for the police department. At Inkster, there's an in-house academy, which is 18 weeks. You go through the academy, you graduate, you go through training, you graduate from the training, and then you start participating in the police department, either doing auxiliary details or working with full-time certified officers.
All right. What would an auxiliary detail be? What does that mean?
Anything that doesn't require the attendance of a certified officer, a high school basketball game, charity events, directly events that affected communities like block parties, fundraisers.
Do you want to be a police officer?
At one time I had full intentions to be a police officer. I was actually hired, and then I went back to my current position where I'm employed now.
And at the time of the events that led us here today, did you want to be a police officer?
Of course, I still have an interest in being a police officer. That's why I still volunteer my time.
Right. And were you working full-time for the railroad?
Yes, I still am working full-time.
And just give the jury an idea of how often you would work for free for the Inkster Police.
I would volunteer my time, and every week was different. Sometimes it would be upward of 40 hours a week. 1 week might be 5 hours. We dictated our own schedules, so there was no details as far as if we didn't have to be there for any events. You would just notify your command officer, and you would show up, and you would just put your volunteer time at your discretion.
What is it about being a police officer that draws you to that?
Well, my father still is. He was a police officer, still is almost for 40 years. I enjoy the interaction with people, helping people.
Do you like the idea that you get the last word on the street?
No.
You don't like the power that goes along with it?
I've never thought about having power with it.
Well, you can take somebody's freedom away, can't you?
Of course. I can as an auxiliary officer.
And if circumstances dictate, you can kill them, right?
Absolutely.
You don't think that's power?
Of course, it is power.
Sir, is a police department, and even in the greater sense, the police community, tight-knit?
Foundation, please.
It's the same.
Have you been hanging out with police officers?
Vague question, what's hanging out?
Oh,
Hanging out as far as,
Yeah, sometimes 40 hours a week, sometimes 5 hours a week, living with them, socializing with them, those sorts of things?
I've been to a couple of social gatherings over the last couple of years.
Okay, back up a little bit. How long have you been doing this?
2011.
Okay, let me ask this question. Do you pay for your own attire?
Absolutely.
You pay for your own guns?
Absolutely.
Does the department pay for anything as far as anything that you may need in order to assist other officers?
No.
Okay, so it all comes out your pocket?
Out of pocket. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
all right. And you would say that you said that on the average, your monthly commitment, what would you say it was?
For the financial or the hours I volunteered?
The hours you volunteered, say something.
Like I said, it would vary. A good average would be maybe 40 to 60 hours a month.
40 to 60 hours a month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the guns you buy and your uniform, everything you...
Ammunition, boots, everything.
You pay for all of that, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
And you do that because you want to join that community, right?
I want to join the community.
Police officer.
But yeah, I have an interest of being a police officer.
And hanging out with police officers.
I don't volunteer to hang out. I volunteer to...
Well, you do, don't you? You socialize with them.
Well, yeah, of course.
And would you say that they're amongst your closest friends?
No. One officer in particular, but the department, no.
How about Officer Randazzo?
Yes,
Okay, would you consider him a close friend?
absolutely.
And Officer Zopko from Dearborn Heights, would you consider him a close friend?
Yes.
And Officer Melendez, how about Officer Melendez? Would you consider him a close friend?
He's a friend of mine. Not as close as Randaz or Officer Zalko.
All right. Would you say that you have an allegiance to Mr. Melendez?
I don't understand your question.
Is he a friend of yours?
Yes.
Okay. You feel like you're on the same side?
Side as far as...
Police versus everybody else?
No.
Haven't you had significant contact both by phone and by text with Mr. Melendez during the pendency of this lawsuit?
I've talked to him on the phone and text messaged.
All right. A lot, correct?
I wouldn't say a lot.
What would you consider your daily or weekly contact with Mr. Melendez since the pendency of this matter?
I haven't contacted him probably in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Prior to that, maybe a couple phone calls a week with a couple text messages.
Okay.
When this all blew up in the media, didn't you have about 20 phone calls, some of fairly lengthy duration with Mr. Melendez?
Oh yeah, when this first came out, absolutely.
And you talked about the case, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you talked about your thoughts about how the press was handling the case, is that right?
Absolutely.
And you both perceived, or you perceived, is a better question, that the press was your enemy?
I wouldn't say an enemy, but the way they were portraying the story was completely incorrect.
All right. So they were against you, right?
I'm sorry?
They were against you, right?
Against us personally, as a person?
They were on the other side. Would you agree with that?
Like I stated, they were telling the story incorrectly.
All right. Different than the way you tell it, right?
Different the way it happened.
No. Different than the way you tell it.
Objection.
Answer that
He's
question.
answered the
That's
question.
argumentative. Now, the majority of the time that you worked as an auxiliary, would it be in the evening after your job?
My job schedule always changed over the last couple of years, so I really can't answer that, but it would always be always a night shift.
Okay.
Night shifts were after 7 p.m., 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
So would it be fair to say that you were a railroadman by day and a crime fighter by night?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
During all those conversations, I don't remember if I got an answer to this question. Did you have about 20 phone calls of some of significant duration, by that I mean a half hour or so, with Mr. Melendez when the stuff was hitting the fan?
The staff counsel,
When this news first came out, we talked a good amount.
All right. About this case?
Absolutely.
All right. And Did you also talk about what you do for him?
As far as,
Help with fundraisers?
he mentioned something about a fundraiser, but he never followed up with it.
Did you?
No.
Did you get subpoenaed to come down and testify in our office earlier this year?
Yes.
And the day you got the subpoena, didn't you have 2 phone calls with Officer Melendez about what was coming?
Without checking my phone records, I'm pretty sure I did make contact with him.
All right. And one of them was a fairly lengthy call. Would you agree with that?
More than likely, that was the day that the news, the story hit the news.
No. I'm talking about the day you got hit with the subpoena, not the day it was on TV.
It was Sunday at 11, I believe.
And you talked to Officer Melendez before you came down and testified, right?
As in general conversation?
Well, did you talk to him? Let's start there.
Yeah, I talked to him.
All right. After you got the subpoena.
Do you recall, sir?
No, I don't, ma'am.
Okay.
You had an opportunity to review the summary of your phone records before you took the stand, didn't you?
Briefly, they were handed me as I walked in today.
And you had a chance to review them, correct?
Briefly.
All right. Would you like to look at it and see if indeed there was a telephone call the day you got the subpoena, as a matter of fact, 2 of them, with Officer Melendez? Would you like to look at that?
Would it be on this form?
Did we identify a date?
Please, just identify the date, you can look at it.
You identify the investigative subpoena testimony was 3/25. The date of service of the subpoena was 3/24.
Look at those dates, sir. You see them?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I had a phone call with Officer Melendez for 7 minutes and 40 seconds.
And it was about you coming down to talk with us, wasn't it?
No.
What was it about? The weather?
Do you recall what it was about, sir?
No, I do not.
It was just a happenstance that you got served with the subpoena and were coming down to see us and you had a conversation with Officer Melendez. Just a coincidence?
I'm not really sure how to answer that.
Okay. Well, let's ask it this way. You did testify at the investigative subpoena, is that correct?
In your office?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you were asked whether or not you had contact with anybody about you coming down and talking to us during the course of that
Do you
investigation.
remember that question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you answered that you only talked to
My
the person
auxiliary.
in charge of the auxiliary office.
Yes, sir.
And no one else, correct?
Correct.
That wasn't true, was it?
That the only person I talked to was from the auxiliary command.
All right.
But I'm sorry, I notified I was coming down to see you.
And talked about the case, right?
It was from the auxiliary command.
I asked you about talking to Officer Melendez, is that right?
Do you remember that?
You asked me if I told Officer Melendez I was coming down for the subpoena investigation.
Well, let's take it one at a time. I asked who you talked to about coming down, right?
Okay.
No, not okay. Do you
Well,
remember that? Yes or no?
I'm getting confused right now.
If you don't know, say you don't
Okay,
know.
I'm sorry.
Okay. You were asked about who you told you were coming down, correct?
Correct.
And you told about your auxiliary commander or whatever his title is, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were asked about contacts with Officer Melendez, right?
I don't believe I was ever asked. I'm sorry, I don't recall if you asked me if I contacted Officer Melendez.
All right. You have the investigative subpoena transcript there with you?
Yes, sir.
No, I think he's talking to the witness. Do you have a side?
I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was out of the microphone to answer.
Page and line.
That's what I'm coming to, Joe. All right. I'd like to direct you, review page 26. Don't read it, just review it if you would.
Don't read it aloud, just read it to yourself and let us know when you've done it, okay?
Okay, you said 26, sir?
Yeah, 26 through 28.
Read it silently to yourself and let us
Yes,
know
ma'am.
once you've reviewed it.
I think our page numbers are different.
Mr. Donaldson, can you go approach the witness to see if in fact that did happen?
I'm sorry, I caught it right here at the bottom. Yeah, that's exactly how I remember it. Did you want me to read the
Okay, be
question?
quiet.
I'm sorry.
Did you read it?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good, now ask some questions.
So you were asked about who you told you were coming down here, right?
Do you want me to read the question that you asked me, sir?
Answer
No,
the
listen
question.
to it.
Okay.
You were asked that question, correct?
Yes,
And you said you're the auxiliary boss, right?
correct.
And then I asked you some questions about Officer Melendez, is that right? Go ahead, 26 through 28.
Might be helpful to address the line that you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying, line what?
Page 26, line 19.
Okay.
You were asked about, talk to Officer Melendez, weren't you?
Yes,
Okay. And you failed to mention that you talked to Officer Melendez about coming down here, didn't you? Coming down to the investigative subpoena.
I believe when you asked me the question, I took it as if I told him I was coming down for an investigative subpoena.
Did you talk about what was going on? You didn't say,
When you
I got
say-
an investigative subpoena, the prosecutor wants me to talk to him about this stuff. Did you have a conversation like that one?
You want to know about the subpoena?
Yes.
No, I have not.
No, you have.
I'm
not.
sorry, no, I did not. I'm sorry, no, I did not.
And you don't remember what that call was at 10:30 at night before you came down the next morning with Officer Melendez? You don't remember what you talked about?
No.
You've seen the video in question?
Yes,
How many times?
I've seen the full length probably 2 or 3 times, and I've seen it numerous times on the news.
And did there come a point in time when that video was exchanged between you and Officer Randazzo to get your game plan together?
Objection is the former question, and I don't know what he means. Exchanged? Did you say exchanged?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. My concern wasn't exchange, it was game plan, rephrase.
Did you exchange the video with Officer Randazzo?
Did you show him the video?
No.
Was it sent from you to him or him to you?
I don't understand the
Did you
question.
send that video to him via what?
An attachment to a text message where you had your partner video the video and send it to Officer Randazzo.
Did you do that?
No, I'm sorry. I sent her, I remember asking him to video a video, but I don't think he ever completed it. He never fulfilled my request.
What? Did you send him the video?
No, I sent him a text message asking if he could video the video, but I don't believe he ever fulfilled my request.
Okay, is this before or after it got to the meeting?
I'm pretty sure before, I don't know the exact date.
So this was before it was shown in the media?
Can I look at the text message?
I can show you where it's at if you'd like.
Please. Okay, so it was 1:29 the day after the incident.
And what was the text message right before that? Take a look. Would you like me to show it to you?
Please.
It's a text message from you to Officer Randazzo, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What does it say?
It says we have major problems, call me.
And read his response into the record.
Whose response?
Officer Randazzo's response to that.
Well, isn't that hearsay, Judge?
It's the same.
It puts the,
And no, and it's also offered for the truth of the matter.
I'll address that at a later time, Judge, but I have a different position. So you're exchanging text messages with Officer Randazzo, acknowledging on a problem as early as the 29th, the day after, is that right?
What month?
January.
Yes or no? Did you send a text message that said that?
That said that we had major problems?
Yes.
No, I never sent that text message.
Even though the record says you did.
I thought that was from Officer Randazzo.
Take a look at it again.
Take a look at it, sir, please. Page and line.
I was wrong. That was from Officer Randazzo, and it was
Correct.
your response.
Right.
Okay, very good.
And that puts the context of the response.
If that was, okay, was the major problem, what was, so you're asking what his response was?
Right.
Very good. What was your response?
I believe it was send me a video of the video.
And you were talking about this case, weren't you?
Yes.
And you knew you had a problem.
Well, objection.
Sustained. You knew you got a text message stating there was a problem. Is that correct?
Correct.
So as early as January, you
Well,
were...
let's back up a little bit. Now, once you got the text that says that we have a problem, do you understand?
Yes.
Did you ever inquire, what problem are you talking about?
No.
Your response was, send me the video of the video.
Correct.
So, from that question, you made an assumption. Is that correct?
I don't think I made any assumption. I just wanted to see the video.
Okay, but why you didn't say, what you talking about, man? I don't know. What problem you talking about? You never said that, did you? Take a look. Take your time. Can we direct him to the question? I think he lost his place.
Yes, ma'am.
The question was, the text from Randazzo was what?
Randazzo wrote, we got major problems, call me.
What was your response?
Take video and send it to, I'm sorry, take video and send it to me.
You never said, what major problems are you talking about? did you?
Correct.
Go ahead.
So the day after this incident, you knew you had problems, right?
No.
Only Randazzo knew you had problems?
I don't think I ever completed contact with them. He never.
Why did you ask to say, why did you say send a video of the video? Why did you say that? Why was that your response?
So I could see the incident again?
Why did you even assume it had anything to do with the incident?
I'm not really sure. Maybe I was guessing.
Okay,
A lot of,
go ahead. So you just guessed that that was the issue?
Objection, Judge. He's already answered what he assumed.
Overruled. So that's what you guessed that was the issue. Is that correct?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And you've continued throughout to Strike that. Was Officer Randazzo your regular partner, for lack of a better term?
Yes,
And did you see him as a mentor?
absolutely.
And you went to him for advice?
As far as law enforcement, yes.
And as late as this morning, in reviewing the text messages we just went over and the phone records we just went over, he was sitting in there with you doing that, wasn't he?
Doing what?
Going over the text messages and the phone call.
Sitting where?
In the witness room right over there right before you took the stand.
He was in the room with me when I was issued these papers.
Did you talk about him at all?
Briefly, but then he had to leave.
Who made him late?
I don't know. He said I have to go, and I went out to the car and got my car keys. I think he said the judge. I'm sorry.
The judge said he had to go, so
Judge?
It's the same, move on.
I just want to make sure the jury doesn't think that happened.
Well, I think that's exactly what happened. We asked for
That's no problem.
permission.
Move on, counsel.
And this was right after you talked about these text messages and phone calls, right?
We didn't go in depth with everything. We briefly had a couple minutes, and then he left.
And did you talk to him about how you were going to respond on the stand to these phone calls?
No, actually, I was wondering why a lot of these text messages were involved when they had nothing to do with the case.
I think that's going to be up to the jury to determine,
Counsel,
don't
you
you?
asked him a question, he just answering it the way he understood it. So the fact is up to the jury, you know, it's neither here nor there. Let me ask this to you, witness. When was the first time that you became aware that the text messages, or the record of the text messages that you made with Randazzo or anyone else around that time?
This morning, about 5 minutes after I walked in.
Okay.
And you had a response to that, is that correct?
As far as the text messages, yes, and I already stated
And
that.
you shared that response with Officer Randazzo, is that correct?
Yes.
And you talked about what you're going to do about it, right?
No, I believe he was going to inquire to see what was going to be used in the case.
Have you ever heard the term thin blue line?
Yes.
Okay, what does it mean to you?
To me, it's definitely a support group. To support officers, the loss of life in the line of duty. Support for the officer's wife or vice versa. It's
You're talking about a charitable institution, is that right?
yes.
I'm talking about the phrase itself, where it came from.
If you know.
I gave you my understanding of the meaning or definition.
I'm sorry, I don't hear well. What did you say?
That's all I know it to be, the thin blue line, what I just explained to you.
All right. You've never heard the terminology that...
Objection. It's going to be an argumentative assertion. He's already answered the question.
Let him ask a different question. Go ahead, counsel.
Would you agree, sir, that police officers are guardians of society?
Absolutely.
You ever heard it described that the police are what stand between the criminal element and the rest of it?
Yes.
And you've never heard that described as the thin blue line?
No.
Sir, how many times have you talked about this with members of the Michigan State Police or our office? How many times, or even Inkster, and had something reduced to writing? I'll ask it differently. That's not correct. You gave a statement to the Inkster Police Department shortly after this happened. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you've had an opportunity to review that. Is that correct?
Yes.
You came down for an investigative subpoena and testified, and you've been given a copy of the transcript of that. Is that correct?
Yes.
You were invited back after that investigative subpoena because of some concerns that were expressed to you regarding your testimony. Is that correct?
I didn't know there was any concerns. I thought it was just a good faith conversation.
Well, you were asked if there was anything you wanted to change about your testimony. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, during the interview.
And you were also asked that question at the tail end of your investigative subpoena testimony. Is that correct?
On the first one?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you've been twice given an opportunity to correct what you have said before. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there anything before we get started that you'd like to correct now?
No.
All right. I'd like to take you back to the date of the incident. Do you remember that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When did you start working?
Shift change at 7 p.m. I believe I was in the PD doing paperwork, and I caught up with Officer Melendez after 7 p.m. And we had a brief conversation about riding together, so maybe a little bit after 7.
Okay. And there come a point in time when you came in contact with a light brown, tan, white Cadillac.
Yes.
When did you first see the Cadillac?
We were doing surveillance at the Motown Inn.
I don't want to hear about surveillance, okay? We doing surveillance, okay?
The question specifically was, what were you doing?
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, and I want, thank you, Judge, I want to caution the witness. You are limited to what you saw, not what you heard.
Absolutely.
What you saw, not what you were told by Officer Melendez.
Correct.
Okay. When did you first see the Cadillac?
When I was sitting at the Motown,
All
in
right.
the control car,
And describe what you observed.
I believe it was tan, light-colored Cadillac, came off Michigan Avenue, pulled into the Budget Inn,
All right.
parked.
And what side of the street would it have been on, eastbound or the westbound?
The vehicle was traveling westbound. Is that yes? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
that was crossing. Okay, so it's going westbound, and it pulls into where?
Budget Inn.
All right. And does it signal?
Turning in there?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
So from your vantage point, you couldn't tell whether the signal worked.
I couldn't tell if he signaled or not.
All right. And what happened then?
Vehicle pulled in the parking lot, it parked. Black male to the driver's side of the vehicle.
Now, I will stop you there. You made that observation.
Absolutely.
Right. You testified at the investigative subpoena, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And you testified that you did not make that observation, that it was related to you by somebody else. Is
Objection
that
to the
correct?
form of the question. If he wants to refer to the investigative subpoena, I think that's the proper way to cross.
You reviewed it, you were asked that question, and that was your response. Is that
Could you
correct?
address it to a page, please?
Page 9.
I'd like to direct you to page 9, top of the page. Read as much of it as you like, sir. Let me know when you're done.
Okay.
You ask the following questions by me and give the following answers. It was definitely west of our location, that's you talking. I believe there was a business directly across from it, and it was one business to the west of us. You see that portion of the transcript?
Yes, sir.
And you're talking about the location that you were looking at, correct?
Correct.
And I asked the question, okay, when you said he was surveilling, he was using any was he using anything to enhance his sensing? And you answered binoculars, is that correct?
Yes.
And I asked, so he's reporting to you his observations, and you answer, yes, sir, is that correct?
Yes.
And were you able to make the same observations or not without the binoculars? And you answered, no, is that correct?
Yes.
Were you able to even see the vehicle cross the street? And you answered, yes.
Correct.
And immediately preceding that was whether or not you saw the guy get out of the car, is that correct?
Yes.
So which is it?
Which is what?
Did you see the guy get out of the car or not?
Yes.
Okay. Then why'd you testify under oath that you did?
I did it?
I'm sorry, Judge. May we approach?
Yes. Let's go back on record. The court had an opportunity to have a sidebar. What I want to do, let's just do an impeachment or direct him by question and answer. Line and page, and he'll direct you page, line.
Sure.
It's
a transcript. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll move on and tab it a little bit.
Okay.
All right, you saw the man get out of the car, is that
Excuse
correct?
me, let me just say this, we're gonna go for another hour. If you wanna do this or come back so we can tab it after lunch, we'll be able to do it, but you just do it whatever you feel on your discretion says.
What happened after you saw the man get out?
The driver exited the vehicle, and he walked towards the west wall of the hotel.
All right.
Motel.
And sir, what did he do?
He entered one of the rooms, which I didn't have that clear of vision because there was a stairwell in front of him.
All right. And do you know what room it was?
No, I didn't. Without using binoculars, I wouldn't be able to tell what room.
And sir, what happened then?
He was inside the room 2 to 3 minutes. Officer Melendez said he was come back out of the room.
Oh, wait a second. Now what Officer Melendez?
Okay.
What
I
you
noticed
saw.
the man walking back out in the parking lot. We entered the same vehicle he came with, and the taillights of the Cadillac illuminated.
What did that mean to you?
Looked like he was going to leave.
All right. Now what happened?
We
Strike
left-
that. What
Not
you
we,
did.
not we, sir.
What you did.
Okay. While I was in the passenger seat of the patrol car, the patrol car left the location to get in a better position to follow up an investigation of that vehicle.
And what happened? When you pulled out, what'd you do?
Made a right-hand turn into Michigan Avenue, or the driver, Bill Melendez, did.
And then what happened?
Continued eastbound on Michigan, making a Michigan left through Beach Daily.
And then what happened?
There's a turn lane for a bus stop on Michigan Avenue. The vehicle, I'm sorry, as we were pulling on Michigan Avenue, I kept a visual on the motel to see if the vehicle left or not. We made the turnaround on Beach Daily.
Not we, sir.
I'm sorry.
Please, sorry.
Sorry, made the turnaround on Beach Daily, which was a vehicle westbound Michigan. At Beach Daily and Michigan Avenue, there's a lack of a better term, a lane that's dedicated for a bus stop. We parked the vehicle, I'm sorry, the vehicle, we stood by, I stood by on the that lane at the bus stop waiting for the vehicle to leave the budget and the Cadillac.
All right. And how long did you wait there?
We didn't time it, maybe 5 minutes.
And what was going on during those 5 minutes?
We're just waiting for the vehicle to leave the budget in.
I thought you said it was pulling out when you started your Michigan left.
The brake lights illuminated.
So it didn't pull out.
No.
Did you ever see it pull out?
Yes.
It was clearly visible.
Yes.
And what'd you do then?
The vehicle made its approach to Michigan Avenue on the easement. Patrol vehicle I started westbound Michigan Avenue. The vehicle made a right-hand turn out of the motel into the middle lane, traveling westbound, and made a switch lanes to the curb lane, continuing westbound.
Now, you've seen the video, right?
Yes,
Multiple times, correct?
yes.
You can't see that car, can you?
Objection, on the video? What are we talking about?
Excuse me, let him answer the question.
He can't see it, couldn't see it. I would like to know whether he's
Let him
referring to the
answer
video.
question. Were you referring to the video?
Yeah.
Will you answer the question?
On the video?
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe on the video you can see the Cadillac exit and travel westbound Michigan Avenue.
Okay, that's your belief.
Well, the one I saw at the police department my first time
Okay. And who was with you when you looked at it the first time?
Sergeant Hayward,
Okay. Anybody else?
other officers from the shift.
Like Officer Randazzo?
I'm sure he was there.
And
Don't say you sure.
Yes.
All right. And Officer Melendez?
I don't believe he was there.
Okay. Now, I'm going to back up a second. You testified under oath before, is that correct? We
Yes.
talked about that. And you testified at that time, on more than one occasion, that it was a Michigan left and then you fell right in behind the guy. You testified to that at the investigative subpoena in response to multiple questions, is that correct?
Yeah, but first subpoena, absolutely. Yes, I did.
So you said this is a continuous thing, that you are in the car, he's looking through the binoculars, you're seeing what you're seeing, he's seeing what he's seeing, and the car's pulling out and you do the Michigan left and you fall right in behind it. That was your first story, wasn't it?
I was confused, and you gave me an opportunity to clear it up.
No, I asked you several times and we took a break and I showed it to you and asked you if you wanted to change what you had said. Is that true?
And you never showed me a copy of the video. I was instructed by yourself and Ms. Powell that we didn't continue through, that we stopped at the bus stop.
You didn't look at it,
Didn't look at what?
the video when you were there.
With you two? No,
Yeah.
I did not.
Okay.
On the first, are we talking about the first investigative subpoena?
Yes.
There was no video.
Okay, that's your position. And I brought you back on the record and asked you questions about just this, didn't I?
About clarification, yes.
Okay. And that's the first time you said we might have sat there at stationary surveillance. It's the first time you ever said it, is that correct?
After we clarified that we stopped, I corrected my statement that we did stop at the bus stop for approximately 5 minutes.
And it's your position you see that car come out?
Yes.
Okay. And you see that car turn right, is that
Yes.
correct? Would you agree when you look at that video and you're sitting there for 5 minutes, that when cars pull out from the side streets, you can see their headlights hit the median, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the headlights of that car hit the median at any point in time?
I was looking at the median.
Right. When you reviewed the video multiple times, did you ever see that?
I was never looking for it.
Isn't it a fact, sir, that you never saw that car until you guys were on Michigan Avenue and you saw it and you ended up going down to Oakland and you saw it traveling on Oakland? That's the first time you saw it, wasn't it?
The Cadillac?
Yeah.
No.
Would you agree that the Cadillac has a different kind of taillights than a lot of other cars? They go up and down and they're kind of long. Would you agree with that?
The taillights on Cadillac?
On this particular Cadillac, anyway.
All cars are different makes and models.
All right, when you fall in behind the Cadillac on Oakland Avenue, take it from there. What happened?
While we're on Oakland Avenue,
Yeah.
the vehicle was traveling westbound Oakland, approaching John Daly. He was the only vehicle on the street moving. The vehicle stopped at the stop sign John Daly. The vehicle continued. Still Oakland, approaching Hill Street. The vehicle went through the stop sign on Hill Street.
All right, I want to stop you there. Was it he blew the stop sign or something different?
He didn't make a complete stop at the stop sign.
What some people would call rolling stop?
He didn't make a complete stop. I don't...
You ever heard that term?
Yes, I've heard it.
Okay, and I asked you if that's what some people would call a rolling
Objection is
stop.
what other people
The
say.
same.
He's testified.
That gave you grounds to pull over the vehicle, is that correct?
Yes.
First time you had grounds to pull over the vehicle, is that correct?
Objection.
Rephrase.
Have you ever followed a vehicle just to see if it engages in a traffic infraction? In other words, targeted the vehicle.
I don't understand the question, I'm sorry.
Did you ever see a vehicle and say, I want to pull that guy over and I'll wait till he does something so I can?
As an auxiliary officer, I don't have that capacity.
Have you ever been present and that was done?
No.
No.
I'm sorry, I still don't understand the question. Do we ever target a vehicle to see if it was going to break the law?
Yes, and then pull it over.
No.
Never done that.
No.
So you fell in behind, strike that. It doesn't stop at the stop sign. What happens then?
The vehicle continues through the intersection. At this time, myself and Officer Melendez had a brief conversation on what we just witnessed. Officer Melendez initiated his emergency lights on the vehicle. The vehicle continued westbound South River. It turns from Oakland to South River at that intersection.
Then what happened?
The vehicle refused to stop. The vehicle was traveling westbound. The vehicle was swerving left to right, approaching Inkster Road. It passed the old police department parking lot. The vehicle was still continuing to Inkster Road. There's a driveway just east of Inkster Road. It's for the old library. The vehicle looked like it was going to make a sharp right turn into that driveway. The vehicle continued straight for maybe 10 to 20 feet. All of a sudden, the vehicle came to an abrupt stop. The front of the car dipped down. I could hear the gears grinding as it went into park.
Then what happened?
I exited out the passenger side of the patrol vehicle. Immediately as I exited, I could hear yelling. The yelling was coming from inside the vehicle.
Was the door open or closed?
The Cadillac?
Yes.
Closed.
All right. So he's yelling with the door closed is your testimony.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I continued my approach. I went to the passenger side bumper, rear bumper, and I held my position there.
Let's stop you there. What does that mean that you went to the right rear passenger bumper and held your position? What does that mean?
I walked up to the vehicle and I stopped at the rear bumper.
Okay. And how long were you there?
At the rear bumper?
Yeah.
Not a long time.
A second, 5 seconds, a minute?
Seconds. I'm not sure how many.
All right, seconds. And what were you doing when you were positioned at the rear of the car?
I was checking the interior of the vehicle to determine how many occupants were inside of it.
Were you using something to aid you in that?
Yes, I have a flashlight.
So you had a flashlight out and you were flashing the inside of the car?
I had the spotlight on the passenger side on the vehicle and also a flashlight off my duty belt.
Okay. So your testimony is you were at the right rear of that car with your flashlight out looking on the inside?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what happened then?
I noticed the vehicle would be occupied by one black male driver. The driver inside the vehicle was making movements towards the middle of the vehicle and towards the passenger side.
Okay, describe those movements, what you saw.
It looked like he was shoving something between the front seats. It looked like he was reaching towards the passenger seat.
Right, so I could see his hands?
No, it's upper body, his head, looking.
Do people sometimes get their license and registration and paperwork out of the console after they pull over?
Yeah.
Right. Was it consistent with that or was it something else?
No, something else.
Describe what you mean.
Considering the situation where it led up to, as far
No,
as...
describe.
Objection, Your Honor. You should be able to answer the question.
Answer the question.
Yes, ma'am. Considering we saw him in the heart of the high narcotics area of the motel.
Strike that.
Why?
Do you have personal knowledge that that was a high crime area?
Absolutely.
Objection, Judge.
Wait a minute, let me say this to you, may I? The only person striking anything in this courtroom is me. Now, you can ask another question, okay? So, allow you to ask the question, let's move on to another question, okay? Go ahead.
Have you ever made an arrest there?
I've been with certified officers that made arrests at that motel.
Name one.
Right, Officer Randazzo and Officer Melendez.
Where and when and whom?
I'm not sure on the date and time, but in the parking lot, in front of the motel, off the
When
boulevard,
and where and whom?
with Officer Melendez, Officer Melendez, Officer Arnica.
Can you can't name one instance in this high crime area where you even remember a defendant's name? You remember police officer.
Nathaniel Price, Fisher.
Fisher was after these events, was it not?
I don't understand what you're saying.
The Fisher case you just talked about happened after.
I'm not talking about any case, I'm talking about individuals. You asked me if I can name an individual's name.
Of people that were arrested there before that night.
Without looking at reports, I can't recall them.
But you described it as a high crime area, even though you don't ever remember making an arrest there where you can remember the defendant's name.
That's an unfair question. You decided.
Rephrase.
Based on your description, how much of Inkster isn't a high crime area?
There's still a lot of good, decent parts in Inkster, the northern suburbs.
But the rest of it's a high crime area.
Off Michigan Avenue, absolutely.
Okay, so anywhere on Michigan Avenue is a high crime area.
Majority of the spots.
Okay. So anytime you're patrolling on Michigan Avenue, you're patrolling a high crime area.
Yes,
So you're always on heightened suspicion, then, right?
of course.
Okay. So given this heightened suspicion because you were on Michigan Avenue, tell us about the observations you made of Mr. Dent in there.
At the hotel?
Yeah. No, not at the hotel. You were talking about him making furtive gestures and
Oh, that's
high
the vehicle?
crime and all of that.
What I said earlier, he was making gestures towards the middle of the vehicle, the passenger seat, he's looking down.
What did it look to you like he was doing?
He was either trying to hide something, try to hide something or try to get something. I wasn't sure what he was doing.
Then what'd you do?
I continued to hold at the right side of the vehicle, the passenger bumper.
Did you tell your partner, hey, he's moving around in there, it looks like he's hiding something, we're getting a gun?
No, I don't believe so.
You didn't say anything like that to your partner?
No, it happened pretty quick. The driver,
Go ahead.
Officer Melendez, came around to the driver's side, made his approach. Remember, he got the same length where I was by the rear bumper. That's when the driver door abruptly opened, and the driver stated, excuse my language, "Get the fuck back." At this time, Officer Melendez approached the driver with his weapon drew, gave numerous commands to let me see your hands.
Okay. When you say numerous, 1, 5, 10?
At least 5.
All right. Then what happened?
I came around from my current position to the driver's side. I held at the rear passenger door. The driver in the vehicle was turned towards the right. Officer Melendez continued to give verbal orders.
So this is in addition to the first 5, correct?
I'm sorry, for the whole duration.
Okay, go ahead.
At this time, Mr. Dent wasn't complying with any of the orders. I noticed Officer Melendez take 45 steps backwards, reposition his weapon. At this time, I went in and made contact with the driver to extract him from the vehicle.
What does that mean? You make contact with the driver to extract him from the vehicle. What does that mean?
I walked up to the vehicle and I grabbed his left arm because I wanted to remove him from the vehicle.
How was he positioned when you grabbed his left arm?
He was sitting in the driver's seat with his upper body turned towards the passenger side.
And then what happened?
I grabbed his left wrist. I put my hand on his right shoulder. Mr. Dent was very upset. He told me to leave him alone. I told him you're coming out of the car, you're going to the ground. And then I removed him from the vehicle.
Was he resisting that?
Absolutely.
So you picked him up with your left arm and threw him out of the car?
I never picked him up. I guided him out of the vehicle.
He's resisting, and with your left arm, you forced him out of the vehicle.
Yes.
You work out?
Oh, yeah.
A lot?
At the time, I was working out at least 5 or 6 days a week.
So you're strong enough to grab Mr. Dent and pull him out of that vehicle with your left arm?
I don't know if it was a complete pull, but I guided him out of the vehicle. There was resistance, but it wasn't 100% as far as him not wanting to come out of the vehicle.
Can you explain that to me? What you just mean?
I initially went to remove him out of the vehicle. He didn't want to come out, but at that time, he started coming out of the vehicle.
And then you threw him on the ground.
I never threw him on the ground. I was using controlled PPC move, a straight arm bar takedown. PPCT, personal protection. I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
PPCT.
PPCT.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
Personal protection combat training.
What is that?
That's training that's issued from the police department and assist in tactics to provide least injuries to individuals on the street, to be able to handcuff them if they're resisting.
And you went to this training?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what does it entail?
Different tactics, different procedures, how to manipulate people's arms to prevent injuries, no injuries at all. So you'll be able to either get them in handcuffs or control the suspect.
Okay, very good. Go ahead.
So you were trained in that, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Didn't work this night, did it?
Objection, at what
Counsel,
point are we talking about?
That's rephrase.
You were trained not to injure prisoners, is that correct?
Of course.
And it's your testimony that you use this training to take him to the ground, is that correct?
The straight arm bar takedown move.
Okay. Can you describe that to the
Straight down
jury?
what?
Straight arm bar, straight arm bar,
Wait a minute. Straight arm bar,
takedown.
takedown,
Yes, ma'am.
move,
Maneuver, move.
move. Okay, go ahead.
Describe that to the jury. What is it?
You, depending on what side you are on the threat or the
Well,
suspect.
describe how you utilized it that night with Mr. Dent.
Considering the position that he was in, I took my left hand and placed it on his right wrist. And then I took my right hand and placed it on his shoulder. So at this time, if he wanted to come towards me, I was enough distance and I was in a good enough position to still protect myself. And at this time, I pull his arm straight out, which gives you leverage. You stand the suspect up. You manipulate the wrist by turning it back so the suspect has no leverage to pull it away from you. You put the arm in a straight position, you apply pressure on the back of the shoulder, and you guide the suspect to the ground.
And that's what you did that night?
That's what I attempted to do.
And what did happen?
I got through 20% of it, but then he started fighting with us.
When you say fighting, what do you mean fighting?
Well, once we stood up out of the vehicle,
You stood up out of the vehicle?
once he stood up out of the vehicle and I was guiding him to the ground, that's when he began to give me even more resistance.
And when you say resistance, what do you mean?
Stiffening up his body, pulling his arms out of my hands.
You've seen the video, right, numerous times?
Absolutely.
He was going face first into the concrete, wasn't he?
No. He actually put both arms out and straightened his arms out, which
And
made me
that's
lose
when
my
he
grip.
pulled his arm from you, right?
Can we get completion of an answer?
What'd you say?
I'd like him to be able to finish his answer before he's peppered again.
Yeah, because you cut them off.
After you take him out and use your straight arm bar or whatever it is,
Straight arm bar takedown.
and he's going,
Move. I'm sorry.
and he's going to the ground, if he doesn't put his hands underneath him, he's going to go face first in the concrete, isn't he?
No. On the maneuver, you turn the body, you pull the body with you, so they actually go on their side, so they avoid face front injuries.
And why didn't that happen?
Because right before he made contact from the ground, he broke my grip, and with both of his hands, he hit the ground and stiffened his hands out.
And do you describe that as fighting?
Absolutely.
Okay. Then what happened?
At this time,
But back up for a minute. You call it the PPCT. What was that again?
PPCT,
What is it?
Personal Protection Combat Training.
Now let me ask, is the straight arm takedown maneuver, is that a part of the PPCT?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that maneuver take into consideration that the person that you're arresting may resist?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The strength I felt that night, though, I lost my whole ability to do anything.
What?
The strength I felt
From where?
from Mr. Dent that night, I completely lost my grip and was unable to conclude that maneuver.
Okay.
He's like Superman or something?
So that night, I couldn't.
All right, so you brought him to the ground. Does he say anything when he's going to the ground?
Right before he made contact on the ground, he looked right back at me and told me that I will kill you.
Okay. And that's, he's hitting the ground and he's saying that kind of at the same time, right?
He straightened his arms out, and he looked back towards me and goes, I will kill you.
Wait a minute, hold on for a minute. So you got him down on the ground and he's saying he gonna kill you?
He went to the ground. He extended his hands. He wasn't on the ground yet. He was almost, I guess, on fours, if that's how you want to describe it.
Okay.
And when he stopped and he went on the ground, he looked back and goes, I'll kill you.
So he just turned his head and said, I'll kill you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you and Officer Melendez had him restrained?
No.
You did, just you?
No, he completely broke from both of our grips as he went to the ground. So he was on all fours on the ground. And at this time, Officer Melendez was on my right, I was on the left of Mr. Dent, and we both just went on top of him to get him flat on the ground.
So you're saying that he's on the ground on all fours?
Yes, ma'am.
You had your gun,
My gun was in my holster.
okay, and you Officer Melendez had his gun.
I believe it was holstered. I'd have to look at the video.
Okay, you had a gun on you, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Put it in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so two officers with guns
Mm-hmm.
in close proximity to the victim, and he's saying, I'm gonna kill you,
Yeah.
because he's on the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
With you how many inches or feet away from him?
I was directly on top of him. I might have been even in contact with his body.
So you were in contact with his body, and you were armed
Yes, ma'am.
with a weapon,
Yes,
a
ma'am.
gun,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
he said he gonna kill you?
Yes.
All right.
Did you think he was?
Since he wasn't searched, I didn't know what the possibilities could have been if we didn't get him in
Did you
handcuffs.
think he had a gun?
I didn't know.
All right. Is that why you went up there unarmed and yanked him out of there?
Objection. Who went up unarmed?
Sustained, rephrase.
You had your gun in your holster, right?
Yes, sir.
You didn't have it trained on him, did you?
No.
And your partner put his gun away, isn't that right?
After I extracted him from the vehicle, where he could tell I would need help put him in handcuffs. I'm
So,
assuming.
So you
If
don't
you-
know.
I don't know why he holstered his weapon. I'm just assuming.
but it was holstered, right?
Do you know if it was holstered?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it was not a display, is that correct?
His weapon was holstered.
Okay, good. Okay, go ahead.
And would you agree that it's not a good idea to put your gun away when you think the guy might have a gun?
He never displayed a gun. He never had a gun in his hands.
Okay, so it's your testimony, let me understand, because it's somewhat confusing, that you didn't think that he was a viable threat, or that he was armed with a weapon before he made a statement.
Well, correct. Initially, we had a driver in the vehicle that said what he said and didn't really want to get out of the vehicle. He didn't have any weapons in his hands.
So when he's on all fours with you almost on top of him, and then he turns to you and says, I'm gonna kill you, that's when you felt threatened?
Absolutely.
As it turns out, were there any weapons in his car or on him?
No.
So you got him on the ground after midair, he says, I'll kill you. What happens then?
We got him on the ground, and I went for his left hand, went for a wrist lock, which is also another PBCT move.
Okay, wrist lock.
Went for a wrist lock in his back of his elbow to maneuver his arm behind his back, which was a two-handed grip, at which time Mr. Dent completely broke it and pulled it out of my hands, pulled his hands out of my hands.
Is that about the time he was getting whacked in the head or some other time?
At the time of the incident, I wasn't really aware of any of that. I would have to review the video.
So the wrist lock is, are you taking his wrist and putting it behind his back?
Yes, ma'am. It's just a leverage. You take the wrist and you fold it backwards. It's just another maneuver to prevent injury,
Okay.
be able to control a
For the
suspect.
record, the witness has extended his left arm and he did something with his right hand. But you're saying that the wrist lock, you then grabbed his arm and put it behind his head? Is that
Behind
right?
his back, ma'am.
Behind his back?
Attempt to handcuff.
Okay.
What's Officer Melendez doing to have control over?
Officer Melendez was towards his upper half of his body.
Had his arm around his neck, right?
I don't believe so.
Did you ever see his arm around his neck?
No.
You were there for several minutes, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
And you never saw his arm around?
During the
his neck?
struggle, it might have been positioned there. Without reviewing the
You don't
video.
remember, just don't say,
Okay.
don't speculate.
So you don't remember?
Without reviewing the video.
Then what happened?
I would then, once again, went to control his left hand. I grabbed his left hand again, went for another wrist lock. At this time, I pulled it back. I was able to get behind his body. I grabbed my handcuff, got one handcuff on his left wrist. As soon as the handcuff went on, he then pulled me again. I came off my footing. I pulled him back, positioned it behind his back, grabbing his arm in the handcuff. I leaned with my upper chest on his back to try to get him level on the ground. His right hand was, at the time, it appeared to me, was under his body.
Let me interrupt you for a second. What's Officer Melendez doing now?
He's towards his upper half of the body.
Did you ever think that the two of you might have been working at cross purposes? He was trying to do one thing and you were trying to do another?
I don't believe so.
Did you see him trying to twist him around using an arm around his neck at the same time you're trying to twist him the other way? See that?
At the time of the incident, my goal was to get him handcuffed and get his right hand handcuffed because it was under his body.
Then what happened?
Where did I leave off at?
You left off that he pulled away and he got his arm back. What happened then?
His left hand was handcuffed. At that time I had somewhat control. I used my chest to lean on his back to get him level on the ground because his right hand, at the time, to me it looked like he was under his body. I wanted to gain control of it because I didn't know, him not being searched, I didn't know if he had a gun or any other kind of weapon on him. I was unable to get his right hand underneath his body. And this time our supervisor, Sergeant Kreitzer, showed up.
Was Mr. Dent even able to move, given the position he found himself in with Officer Melendez?
Absolutely. He moved us about 3 or 4 feet. He was continuing to scoot away.
How big are you, sir?
I'm 6 foot. Right now I'm 220.
How big were you at the time, sir?
At the time I was close to 245.
So you're a big fella.
Absolutely.
And you work out.
At the time, yes.
Okay.
What weight training?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you lift back then?
Bench press, I maxed 405.
405 pounds?
Yes, ma'am. Deadlift 515. I don't know how much more detail you want.
That's enough for me.
Got me blushing.
And how about Officer Melendez? Do you know if, would you describe his size for us, please?
He's a good sized guy. He works out a lot.
I mean, at the time.
At the time, consistent, maybe a little bit bigger.
A little bigger than you?
Bigger than what he
He
is.
is now?
Yes.
And he's pretty buff, as they say, would you say?
He's a strong guy. He's very strong.
Okay, so we
He
had...
didn't say strong, he said buff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know the difference? Okay.
And I am. So we got 2 weightlifters, big guys, and this guy has such superhuman strength that you can't control.
Counsel, no,
Okay.
just ask the question.
Okay, I think where we left off, you got one hand cuffed, he's still resisting you, you're trying to torque his body so that you can get his right arm out from under him. Am I about right where we're
I'm trying to
at?
get his body flat with the ground. That way I can gain access to his right arm.
Take it from there, please.
Sergeant Kreitzer showed up on the scene. At this time, I'm sure he was aware that we were
Don't
unable.
say that.
I'm
You
sorry.
don't know.
Sergeant Kreitzer showed up and he tased Mr. Dent.
All right. Did anybody instruct him to tase Mr. Dent?
I don't.
Did you hear anyone?
I don't recall.
Did you ever hear words spoken along the lines of tase the motherfucker?
Did you hear that, sir?
No.
Could it have happened?
Absolutely.
Counsel, for speculation, disregard that question.
And he did get tased, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you observe that occur?
Yes.
And where was he tased?
I believe in his lower stomach and maybe one in his thigh area.
And
Ask you a question. Have you ever seen someone tased?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what can you tell us about that process so the judges of facts will know?
There's 2 ways of being tased, either a dry stun or the prongs being ejected.
But what's a dry stun?
Dry stun is the gun itself. There's a cartridge that goes on the end. If you take the cartridge off, it's just a plastic gun with electric beams on there where you can actually go up to someone and just dry stun, which will give them an electrical jolt. And then the other way is the tongs. You can deploy your taser, and there's a CO2 cartridge that throws the prongs out there. I've never been trained on it, so I'm just going off of
But
my...
have you ever seen it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. And so, when it happens, do you visibly see anything ejected, like the electricity? Do you see that, or do you hear it? Do you
You can hear it. You can hear electricity.
What's it sound like?
Zzz.
Okay. When it hits the target, what does it sound like?
I don't believe there's a sound.
Okay, when you say zzz, is that
That's
before-
from the taser itself, the gun
Right.
itself.
But once it comes into contact with the flash, does anything happen, or extraordinary, out of the ordinary?
I'm not really sure how to answer that. Like I said, I'm not been trained with a taser.
Okay, when somebody's tased, do they do like this? Or do they move like that?
They do the first move, ma'am. Yes,
Huh?
ma'am.
They just
Yes.
stay like that?
They just, the body locks up to a position where they can't maneuver.
Okay, all right, go ahead. And you said he was stunned 2 times?
I believe he was tased 4 times.
4.
I believe.
And what are you doing while he's getting tased?
I'm still trying to gain control of his right arm.
So we've got...
I'm sorry. While he was getting tased, I stepped back to see if the taser would have any effect,
Okay.
which it didn't. I'm sorry.
When you say step back, you mean you actually got on your feet, or you're
No.
saying that you...
I stayed in my position where I was on the ground, but I stood by to see what the taser would do as far as helping us get the suspect in
Did you
handcuffs.
see Mr. Dent react to the taser?
I saw him pull the taser off his leg and stomach twice.
Okay, so he's pulling it off.
It was a dry stun, so it was just the gun itself, and he took his hand, to Sergeant Kreitzer's hand, and did this
So
twice.
he grabbed Kreitzer's hand and pushed it off.
It was either the hand or the taser gun itself.
While you had the other hand? Or you-
Yes, ma'am. I had his left hand.
You had his left hand, and he was able to do all this with his right hand?
His right hand was underneath his left. Sorry, his left hand was like this, and his right hand was underneath him on the ground.
But a record of witnesses put his right hand on his stomach and his left hand behind the middle of his back. Is that how you were?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the taser was to the lower left stomach, and then I believe, without reviewing the video, but as far as the thigh one, on the top of the thigh, and Mr. Dent was on his side, and his right arm was coming around because he hit his hand like in front of his belt on his shirt. But when he got tased, he took it and pulled it off twice. I'm not sure if he grabbed the taser gun or his hand, but he removed it from him twice.
Okay.
Have you ever been hit?
Hit by,
Punched?
absolutely.
Hurts, doesn't it?
Oh yes.
And do you try to cover up when you get hit?
As far as protecting yourself? Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been tased?
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. Is that right?
Training?
Was that just for fun, Judge?
Yeah.
I just want to know.
That was, I'm sorry.
No, I want to know.
I've never been arrested. I've never...
No, I'm just saying, well, how was it? Just sitting around with a taser? And just,
I don't remember the details, Judge.
Oh,
you got
come on.
tased, but you don't remember the
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
All right.
You just don't want to tell us the story? It's all right, I won't make it.
All right, go ahead.
And, sir, he's been tased a couple of times now. Would you agree that when you get tased, it hurts?
Absolutely.
And would it be a natural reaction to try to make the thing that was hurting go away from where the hurt was?
My understanding of the taser is when you get tased, it's supposed to disable you, where you can't move.
Well, if
When
you
you
could
got
move.
tased, was you able to move?
The situation was a little different. It wasn't law enforcement related. It was
Okay,
a
that's
different
enough, that's
brand.
enough, that's enough. That is enough. Go ahead, another question.
All right. But assuming you could move, wouldn't you want to get the source of the pain away from you?
A natural reaction, nobody wants to be hurt, of course.
So when you're getting hurt, you try to stop it. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Is that the same thing as fighting?
In your opinion?
No.
All right. Go ahead, you've got the stuns with a taser have occurred. What happens now?
Other units showed up on scene, other backup units. Officer Randazzo approached our situation. At this time, he told me to give him control of his left hand, the hand with the handcuff on.
This is the same Sergeant Randazzo that was in there this morning, was you?
Officer Randazzo,
Go
yes.
ahead.
So Officer Randazzo gained control of his left hand. At this time, I rolled off Mr. Dent and the rest of Inkster, Michigan State Police, other officers attempted to secure Mr. Dent, which they finally did.
Okay. How many people laid hands on him?
A good amount, 6 or 7. I have to look at the video, I'm not sure.
Okay. How many had their
7 hands or 6 or 7 people?
I'm sorry, 6 or 7 people.
had hands on him at the same time?
I believe so.
Okay.
So if you figure 6 people, that's 12 hands.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Did you see Officer Randazzo strike that? Do you know what the term tap out means?
Tap out?
Yeah.
As far as like a wrestling term?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
It means submission. The person wants whatever happening to stop.
Okay. Can it mean that it's over?
If the person wants, yeah.
Okay. Did you see Officer Randazzo tap your partner, Officer Melendez, not once but twice with 2 taps
No,
shortly
back
after
up,
his
back up.
arrival?
Hold up a minute. Tap out, is that a physical? Tell me what that means.
Tap out, and for what I know him to be, if you're wrestling with someone, either professionally or if a person's in a position that they don't want to be in anymore, they'll tap out. They'll tap the mat, they'll tap themselves, they'll tap the person, like, stop, I give up, I give up.
Okay, so it is, when you say tap out, it doesn't mean your strength just goes.
No.
It means a physical touching
Correct.
of someone or the mat or something.
Correct.
You say, I done had enough.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
In the same wrestling parlance, the tag team, they tap out too, don't they?
I don't know what the relevance of that is, Judge.
Overrule.
When one guy wants the other guy to come in on his team, is there physical contact?
Do you know about that?
There's you talking about like tag in? Like yeah, of course.
Now, what's tag in mean?
Tagging means a switch. It's my turn to come in the ring.
So what do you do? Like, do like, show me what tag in means.
I mean, Judge, can we have a foundation how this is relevant
Well,
and how it is
I'm
that
gonna
he's
give him a
supposed to
little
have read
latitude. We all
somebody
learning
else's mind
something.
about a tap out?
We all learning something.
Well, I like all that, but I don't like how it's going in a direction that he has to speculate, that's all.
Okay, very good. Do you know what tag out means? What's that?
Yes, tag out.
Tag out. What's tag out mean?
In a wrestling aspect, it's you're tagging your partner to let them know that you want to go into the ring, I guess.
So what do? Is it something that you do with your hand or what? Do you understand? Or how do you let that person know you want to tag out?
You get their attention.
Okay.
You
All right, go
tap
ahead.
them like when you're tapping in, right? I mean tapping out, right?
Tapping what?
You hit them with your hand a couple of times, right?
I don't know. If they're on the other
He
side
doesn't
of the
know.
ring.
You don't know, do you?
No.
Okay, he doesn't know.
No, that's a different one. Did you observe Officer Randazzo tap Officer Melendez on the shoulder twice on 2 occasions and immediately after Officer Randazzo got off of Mr. Dent? Did you observe that?
Did you see that?
No.
Okay.
You saw Mr. Dent.
Well, wait a minute, hold on for a minute. Let me ask this question. You said that is in the wrestling. Is that in a law enforcement? Like if somebody touches an officer, does that have any significance or no?
No, not to my knowledge at all.
Okay.
And so you wouldn't interpret somebody tapping an officer involved in an arrest on the shoulder a couple of times as a signal to stop.
If another officer tapped another officer,
On the
I have no
shoulder while they
idea.
were engaged.
I don't know why they would tap them.
Okay, very good.
And you certainly didn't do that, is that right?
I don't believe so.
After Mr. Dent was brought to his feet, he was cuffed, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever notice any injuries on Mr. Dent?
At what time, sir?
At any point in time?
I noticed that he was bleeding, looked like from the front of the face area.
And when did you first observe that?
While we're out there on the scene.
Certainly by the time he stood up, you knew he was bleeding. Is that correct?
Correct.
What did you do after Mr. Dent was brought to his feet?
I'm sorry?
What did you do after Mr. Dent was brought to his feet?
At the time when they brought him off his feet, I was on the side of the street pretty much just catching my breath. I was standing there observing. I did walk up to the vehicle and opened up the back passenger doors. I briefly looked inside, went to the other side, did the same exact thing, and then that's where I stayed on the side of the curb catching my breath.
Did you see any dope?
No.
Okay. Did you ever see Mr. Dent in any area other than the driver's seat area?
No, he was sitting in the driver's seat.
Did any portion of his body ever leave the driver's seat area?
Yes.
Okay. Describe to the jury that.
When I first approached Mr. Dent, made contact, he was in the driver's seat. He had his right arm flailing over towards the passenger lower compartment. When I
So
looked,
let me just interrupt you. Let me stop this for 1 minute. When he's doing these demonstrations, would you indicate for the record what he's doing? If he has a reason?
I'm sorry, Judge, I should have done that. You've got your right arm extended and you're moving in a circle, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
So I had Mr. Dent. I had my grip on his left arm. He was like a tugging or almost pulling fashion.
All right, let me stop you for a second. So him reaching over to the right side of the car is while you have his left arm. Did I just hear that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he's pulling and reaching all the way over to the passenger side of the car. Is that
The
what you're
lower
saying?
compartment in front of the seat.
Okay. So he's down by the floorboards area?
Just off to the center console in front of the passenger seat. Not all the way against the wall, but
Cut the passenger seat in half. Did he get halfway across the passenger seat? A quarter of the
Halfway.
way? Halfway? Okay. And he was able to reach that area while you had hold of his left arm, is that right?
yes.
And when was that in relationship to when you used, and I can't remember the terminology, the straight arm bar, I think, to get him out? Was that right before, or whiles before, contemporaneous with? You tell me.
That's when I was attempting to extract him out of the vehicle when I made first contact.
So it was when you were already trying to do the arm bar.
When I first made contact with him and I grabbed his arm, he was on the passenger lower compartment, flailing his arm with his hand clenched, looking down. At that time, I grabbed his arm to perform that maneuver to extract him out of the vehicle.
And you were successful at that point,
As far as grabbing his arm, yes.
getting him out of the vehicle,
Yes.
even though he's kind of twisted all the way around and on the other side.
And he was never twisted on the other side.
Can you show me, pretend that you're Mr. Dent sitting in the driver's seat, how is he positioned when you grab him?
He's sitting in the driver's seat. When I make contact, he has his arm laying down. I move in. I tell him, I give him verbal commands, let me see your hands. That's when he said, leave me alone. When he said, leave me alone, I grabbed his left wrist and put my hand on his right shoulder. While he was telling me to leave him alone, he had his right hand towards the lower compartment, flailing.
Okay, reach over the way he was reaching over so the jury can see.
Like this.
So he's got to get all the way over the console.
Objection.
Exactly how I'm sitting.
He can
Exactly how
describe
you're
it.
sitting? Right, and you're sitting and you're waving your right arm maybe a foot and a half outside your right buttocks area, is that right?
6 foot, so it should be 3 feet.
Okay. It's up 3 feet. Now, when he's down by the floorboard area, show the jury about that, how he's positioned.
In front of the passenger seat towards the lower compartment, his hand was just flailing, and then when I actually gave it a good look at his hand was in shut closed.
Okay, and you're watching that hand, right?
Absolutely.
And you're getting ready to pull him out, is that right?
Yes.
Anything ever come out of that hand?
No.
Yeah. The whole time this arrest was taking place, from the point in time you first encountered Mr. Dent in his car until he was in cuffs, did you ever see him punch anybody?
Yes.
Who did he punch?
Officer Melendez.
You saw
I'm sorry,
him
it
punch?
wasn't a punch. It wasn't a punch.
Well, what'd you see?
When Mr. Dent first made contact with the ground, I noticed that he made an open hand striking. Oh, sorry.
Watch that now.
Open hand striking motion and then made contact with Officer Melendez's eyes or forehead area.
But the record indicate what it did.
You
Hit the
took
microphone.
your right hand, and when you're trying to hit your forehead area with an open hand, you had difficulty at first, but moved the mic and showed us what you're talking about. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you're saying basically slap the forehead, nose area, correct?
It was an open hand strike to either the eye or forehead. Not really sure.
Was this a forceful blow that you observed?
It appeared to me it was.
All right. And did Officer Melendez react to that blow?
We both, I'm sorry, to me it looked like he just wanted to contain the subject so we can place him in handcuffs.
And you didn't see that Officer Melendez's arm was around his neck when this supposedly happened?
At the time, I wasn't paying attention where exactly where it was. It was out towards his upper body.
Okay. You're not testifying from what you saw with his hands flailing while he was getting strangled, are you? And saying
You know,
that one of those hit
Judge,
his face?
First of all, there's no testimony here that he was being strangled. Secondly,
Same
are we talking
phrase.
about what he saw in the video or what he saw when he was out there with his hands full?
Rephrase.
Is it your memory from that night, or is it based on something you saw in the video?
Regarding
The slap to the head.
that night.
And you saw a forceful slap to his face that you took to be an aggressive,
Yes.
not a defensive.
No.
Did you ever see him kick anybody?
No.
Did you ever see him take any aggressive action towards anyone?
Besides striking Officer Melendez?
Yeah.
No.
So you saw no aggression on his part other than the one strike?
He was resisting.
No, that's not my question. My question was, did you see any aggression other than the one strike?
Besides his behavior,
No, that's not the question.
he was very aggressive. His whole.
I'm not talking about your perception. I'm talking
Judge,
about
I
what you
think he should be
observed.
allowed to answer
It's the
the
same.
question.
Let him answer the question.
Mr. Dent was very aggressive that night.
And what does that mean to you?
He was trying to get away. He was saying things in a very aggressive and angry manner. He was frustrated.
And was that before or after he got hit?
The entire time, as soon as I got out of the patrol car.
How did he try to get away?
Scooting on the ground with his legs. He was able to move myself and Officer Melendez across the ground. At one point, I got on the radio because I thought he was going to stand up and just take off running. That's why I got back on the radio and told dispatch to step up the units, because I didn't know what was going to happen. Because at that point, we weren't controlling him.
How were you controlling him?
I'm sorry?
How were you controlling him?
He was still on the ground moving. He was pulling his hand away from me. I was unable to get his other hand. We both were unable to get his other hand.
Did you see drugs at the scene or what appeared to be drugs at the scene?
Yes, sir.
And when was the first time you saw it?
While I was standing at the passenger side of the vehicle,
Which vehicle?
the Cadillac,
And who was there when you saw it?
I was standing next to a Dearborn Heights officer, Nick Zopko.
And who is Nip Zacko to you?
Nick Zopko is an officer for Dearborn Heights. He's also a friend of mine.
Close Ron?
He's pretty close.
Help you move and lend you money, stuff like that?
Yeah.
How is it that a Dearborn Heights officer ended up at a scene in Inkster?
I'm not really sure. Maybe he heard me on the radio calling for help.
And where were you standing with Officer Zapko when you first saw the drug?
Passenger side of the vehicle towards the rear.
Okay. By the rear bumper area?
The rear fender area on the curb.
All right. And how far away from the car were you?
I don't know the exact footage.
Farther than you and me or closer than you?
Closer?
Tell me when to stop.
About right there?
For the record.
Can you reach out your arm?
No.
Okay, we're a little bit better than arm's length, and would you agree this is maybe 5 feet, 6 feet?
Yes,
Stipulate.
we agree.
So stipulate 5 feet.
Maybe 6, unless they got short arms, Judge.
I got short arms, so.
Alright.
Legs too. And describe what you saw.
Officer Melendez was in the front of the vehicle on the passenger side. He came out, his rear end first, turned around, had a baggie, and he said, "Look what I found." And it was a bag, what it looked to me like a bag of drugs.
Now, did you go to him or did he come to you?
Like I stated, he came out of the vehicle, he turned around, which where I was pretty much standing, and he showed me the bag.
Oh, so you were almost at the threshold of the door.
I was on the passenger side of the vehicle,
Right.
towards the rear.
Right. But when he turned around, you were right there, is what you just told me. Is that right?
Officer Melendez came out, he turned around, which puts us face to face, and he showed me the bag.
Okay. And who was there with you, Officer after?
Yes, sir, and there was other troopers in the area, I believe.
How long had he been in the vehicle before he came out with the bag?
Honestly, I don't know. Like I said, I was on that curb over there trying to catch my breath. I think it was -20 outside. It was, all I was trying to do was stand over there. I was talking to the other officer, and that's when.
But my question is, had he been in there for a while, or he hadn't been in there for a while, or do you know?
I don't know.
Right. You say that his butt came out. Does that mean he was laying down in the car, or he had just bent over, or what?
No, it looked like he was facing the inside of the car as if he was looking towards the center console, or maybe, I don't know where he was looking, to be honest with you, but he came out with his rear end first, where he turned around and showed me the bag of
Okay.
drugs.
So he was bent over in the car. I'm just trying to get a picture of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And you'd already searched the car, right?
I gave it a brief look where I opened up the back passenger doors.
And he did too before that, right?
Who did?
Officer Melendez?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And what did you see when he showed it to you?
The drugs?
Yeah.
It was just a clear baggie of a white drug, type of white drug.
Did you ever see Mr. Dent with that drug?
No.
No, he never had it on him. that you know
Objection.
It's the same. He can say he didn't see him. Go ahead.
of. You never saw Mr. Dent with those drugs, did you?
They were never in his possession. On his person, anyways.
You know what happened to Mr. Dent after the scene?
As far as
Where did he go?
after the scene?
Yeah.
Police department.
And what happened at the police department?
We arrived at the police department. We took him downstairs to start the booking process. At that time, one of the sergeants, I believe, advised that the ambulance was coming for him. So we pretty much just gathered his property and we stood by for rescue.
And the ambulance is right next door, isn't it?
Well, objection. Does he know where the ambulance was?
No, I'll ask you a different one. The Inkster EMS service, I think, is a portion of the fire department, is that right?
Yeah, but they could have been busy on a different
No,
run.
that's not my question.
The station, it's Harrison. We're off of Almost Beach Daily and they're off Harrison.
And how far away is that?
2 miles, approximately?
You, of course, called for EMS, right?
No.
Right. You knew he was injured, right?
I saw that he was bleeding. I didn't know if he needed treatment or not.
Bleeding a little bit or what?
I saw it on his shirt. I mean,
You saw what?
I saw blood on his shirt, I'm sorry. And
You see it all over his face.
I saw that he was bleeding.
A lot. Would you agree with that?
I don't know, a lot. I mean, he was bleeding.
And you didn't think he might need medical treatment?
Objection. I don't know how this is relevant. He didn't call EMS. He's an auxiliary
That's the
officer.
point.
It's the same. Overruled. Those are waiting out of admissibility.
You don't like Mr. Dent, do you?
I don't have a feeling one way or another towards him.
You never described him as a piece of shit?
At what point in time, Your Honor?
Wait, just let him ask the question.
Well, I object to relevance as the timing.
Overruled. During, well, I retract it. During
I'll
what
ask
time?
it, I'll wait for it.
Please.
You didn't know him before that day, did you?
No.
And the only time you've ever interacted with him was during the course of this arrest and its aftermath, is that correct?
Yes.
And haven't you called him a piece of shit?
I might have.
Judge, can we have a clarification as to when? It is during the confrontation, or is it at some point afterwards?
Okay, when was it that you called him a piece of shit?
I'm,
That you might have?
that I might have after the incident, a good time length after the incident.
A day, 2 week, month, year?
At least a month, not more.
Okay. And what context would you have, if you said it, would you have said that? In a text, in a conversation?
I'm assuming a text.
And you're talking about this case when you were calling him a piece of shit, is that right?
Probably.
And you've also described him as a dangerous criminal, is that right?
Absolutely.
So you don't have any feelings about Mr. Dent at all? He's a dangerous criminal and a piece of shit, but you have no feelings?
Well, Judge, he asked him if you liked him. He didn't say anything about feelings.
What? Oh, go ahead.
You don't like him, do you?
Yes or no?
Like I said, one way or the other, I mean,
No, you.
As far as my
Do
feelings?
you like him or not? Did you like him? Do you like him or not?
I don't have an answer one way or another.
Okay, very good. You don't have an answer.
Isn't it true that one of the reasons you don't like him is
He
because
said
of,
he don't have no answer. So he
that you
just-
don't have any feelings for it? Strike that, I'll go a different direction. You don't like black people, do you?
Objection, approach.
Excuse me?
Objection, may we approach?
Yes. Let's stand up and take a shot. This is what we're gonna do. Excuse me. Thank you, goodbye. I'll see you back, let's just say, let's say 1:45, okay? All right? All rise, would you? Wait a minute, hold on, one second. Yeah, 1:40. Right, 1:40. Not, witness step down. Go in the jury room. You may proceed when that happens. Unfortunately, we can't regulate the heat because it's past the season, we don't want to cut the air on for the whole building. We're not gonna do it ready for you, okay? It's just get this session. Witness step down, please.
You may be seated.
We get in the witness room.
We need to have a discussion outside the presence of the jury, excuse me, Mr. Thomas.
That's right.
Area that we want to deal delve into, Mr. Thomas, are you prepared to respond? I see you doing something.
Judge, I have an objection. My objection is that the prosecutor is trying to interject race into this trial. The problem is, while it may have been a statement that the witness may have said at some point in time, it is going to be inferred against the defendant. I believe it is more prejudicial than probative and should not be allowed.
I'm going to give a limiting, well, first of all, let me ask this, and then I'll tell you how I will regulate that. What is the purpose why which you're doing this, sir?
I want to show the bias of this witness against the complainant in this case, and when coupled with the bias towards the defendant, is relevant for this jury's determination of why his testimony is being presented the way that it is.
But my concern is when you say you don't like black people, I understand that Mr. Dent is black. Is there some type of offer of proof that you have to substantiate your question?
I can give you a listing of the text messages that I provided to the witness, which include numerous indications of racial epithets and joking about beating up black people in Inkster.
Okay.
Judge, if he could highlight those for you, give me a copy.
I'll tell you what,
I could
why
talk.
don't you tell me what they are? Let's
Well,
go blow, blah, blah.
Do we have to do
Since you
that
don't
on the
know.
record? I would like you to just review them rather than have them on the record, because as you know, this is being a live stream, and I do not want a potential for taint to this jury.
Okay, very good. I'll review when they have them. But just give me a copy of it. Okay, the court has had an opportunity to review 6 pages of alleged text messages, and those would have been text messages, it appears, from the witness, the witness is on the stand, is that correct?
There are 2 are from conversations between him and others.
Right, I noticed that on the text it says John R. Zieleniewski with a number, outgoing, and then the indication is to who it's outgoing to, is that correct?
Correct.
So they're outgoing or incoming, is that correct?
Correct.
And I've had an opportunity to review them. And based on, one other question I need to ask, and I'll, yeah, please. Just tell me what. Now, I am somewhat curious, the dates here appear to be back in February and March. Is that when?
The only intention I have, I'm sorry to interrupt, in terms of the repeated use of the racial epithets, I do not intend to go through each and every one. Just ask him as a general rule whether or not he refers to people as racial epithets.
And the purpose of that is?
It shows the bias against my complainant in this particular case, that he refers to that ethnicity in that way.
But these text messages, from my understanding, came after the incident?
Both, there's both.
No, after the incident.
After the incident.
Some of them happened after, I think.
Because
some
most of the
proceedings.
earliest date that I'm seeing, they're recorded, if I'm looking at this
You're correct.
is back on February 15, 2015.
You're right.
And the latest I'm seeing is like March 16th or March.
And the incident was in January 28th.
Exactly.
You're right, that's all we could get. I was thinking it might have gone farther back, but you're
Okay,
right.
all right. So
Judge-
basically, you want to bring it in for the limited purpose of showing that this defendant had a bias toward black people, is that correct?
That's correct.
But the statements, the texts are dealing with a time after the incident, okay? I'm just kind of curious as to the nexus here?
I want to ask two lines of questions.
Yes,
One, I think the frequency of the utterance and the ability to engage in dialogue with that as a subject immediately after the event, I think does extend that. So I think that bias is displayed during the course of what we have, which is all we have. The more important one is the dialogue where he's asked, gee, I would like to go beat up Rachel Epithet, his friend. He says, in Inkster. And he says, LOL, I just got done doing one. And that's afterwards. So I think that it's clear evidence of where this man's coming from that I think the jury is entitled to hear.
For clarification, none of those texts, using whatever the epithet is, involve Mr. Melendez.
I agree, and I have no problem with the court
And
instructing.
Mr. Melendez has never used an epithet
and
that we
clearly the
have.
court instruction would be similar to this, although it would be modified. His instruction says that you've heard testimony against one defendant, you cannot use it against the other. So what the court would do is to modify it if the court were to allow it to say, you've heard testimony from this witness, it cannot be used against Mr. Melendez.
And I'd even go a step further, Judge, and I told this to Mr. Thomas before we began. We did do a search warrant for Mr. Melendez's phone, which is a different subject matter.
Okay, well,
And there is no evidence in that, and I would be willing to accept as part of the stipulation that the people have no evidence that he ever did so.
well, quite frankly, I think that is very kind of you to want to do that because it is such a sensitive subject. However, I do think that would be somewhat overreaching to allow counsel to put something in that's really not an issue at this point. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to deny your generous request at this time as it relates to Mr. Melendez. However, I will indicate to you, I'd like to see an instruction fashion that the jury is to only use this as to the witness's bias in this particular area, and that it in no way can be imputed to Mr. Melendez, and that this is completely separate. So I want to see some language like that, and the court will see you back at 1:45.
Thank you, Judge.
Very well. All right.
Judge, should I either give you another